可是我觉得是可以做好那个前提的。他把那个球衣丢在车上那个，这个先给我们拿一个，我们拿一个。
Good afternoon, class. Exhausted?
Exhausted. Miss, our question got question.
Big question.
Miss, is it possible tomorrow do lecture class? Then can switch to online.
Maybe today class change to practical.
Ah.
Or maybe
So
Tuesday
we
class.
go
A lot of
Friday.
suggestion is coming in. Okay, let me welcome it. Yes.
Yeah.
Lab classes hard to find spots, right?
What is that?
Class that need to use for
To change these 2 hours to practical, but practical means we need lab.
Yes.
How to change that?
To see any
To change the venue. Even when I ask about changing Fridays, a lot of complaint with me because lab. Okay, because most of the time our this course practical we are not doing hands-on things. It's actually your assignment progress. So as long as we can use this, it's enough. You just need to show your progress and then we just check your assignment progress. That's it. Because like what I've mentioned, there is no additional small. But if I want to change formally to inform them, I'm not sure if we can able to do that or not. You get what I'm saying? Okay, that is one thing. I can check with them, but you know what normally they will say. Okay, so now if I'm changing practical to Thursday, so lecture will be tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I heard something online.
Yeah.
Then tomorrow
Which one
lecture.
is online?
Lecture class.
Lecture to make it online.
Ah.
Are you serious? You will even listen to what I said? Even face to face lecture, I don't know how many like. Are you even here? Are you even listen to me? What's your name, both of you? Emma. Emma was even smiling yesterday, chatting with someone during my lecture. See? Then imagine if I make it online, I will be the only person talking, and I don't know what is happening the other side. I'm very okay of talking alone because I get used for 10 years. So, actually I'm not feeling well. I have some pain. I was even like, can we just do tutorial one and then go back today? I cannot stand for two hours.
Never mind.
I'm going for
Miss, we
chiropractic
support you,
treatment.
yes.
So I'm having some knee, some hip pain also. Okay, to formally to change the class, I doubt if we can do. That's the truth I can say. Because office they don't encourage us to do changes. They always come up with something. Even just now Miss Azu was talking to me. You know Miss Azu, right? Okay, because she knows my condition that I'm not okay. She asked me, can I move my Friday class to somewhere? Like how we were discussing. She said at least I don't have class on Friday because I need to go for treatment. Because now I'm going on Wednesday. So after the treatment, the next day I'll be having my fever. So she said, why don't I change my treatment on Friday so that I can rest on weekend. So my Friday class, I asked to move it, like how we were discussing. If I move, my Thursday will be like 6 hours. 6 hours with only 30 minutes break in between. Do you get? I don't know if I can do that or not. But I will check.
Maybe you move 1 hour on Wednesday, then the other hour at Monday.
Lecture to move it 1 hour. Sorry, that is practical. To move it 1 hour, is that?
Or you move lecture 1 hour, no 1 hour, spread. No
Can
need.
lecture 1 hour, 1 hour? Lecture straight 2 hours, right? Lecture cannot move. Only tutorial practical can move 1 hour, 1 hour. Okay. We see how. So tomorrow, what is the plan?
online
tomorrow. I don't have any problem unless we all
we
shut
also no problem 有没有问题啊
within us. Within us. If all of you can cooperate with that, then I will do. I don't want any of you like not okay. I don't want online. And then suddenly someone's parents call me like why my kid is not going to school. That is. Not even your batch, your senior.
Wow.
Year 3, Sem 1, last semester.
Good student.
The parent was the father was calling me, asking why my son is not having class on Friday.
What the heck? No, actually we living outside. We all living outside. Not the parents.
My parents didn't even ask me what DJB was last semester.
No, I was really surprised that happened. Then I still need to check with the class rep. Like, who is this student? Let me see the face. I need to know.
So am I teaching a primary schooler?
Like why online class? Why no class? When the exam start, everything the father will be calling. I talked to the student that you better talk to your father. I don't want to talk to your father because I think they don't communicate. Father son problem. I'm in the between.
You study in Darcy or SJKC?
Seriously, it was that last semester was really good.
You just study in Hard EC. The teacher is this one.
Okay, so it means tomorrow lecture. I will start chapter 2 tomorrow.
Yeah, can.
Because suppose we need to rush 2 chapters per week.
This online is it? You send the invitation link.
Who is the class I got?
Yeah, Charlie link.
Message me. Is everyone okay?
Yes.
Everyone okay? Let me confirm that. I don't want anyone not okay. Are you okay? Are you sure? You're not happy with that? Sure? Girls? Any problem? Sure? This has been happening since last semester, is it? Miss Azu always do that, is it? She always teach this, huh? Can still silently do online, huh? No worries, I was doing that also. for formal method with the group I was handling. That student even pity, 1 hour class Friday.
Yeah.
And I requested the office to change. Like 1 hour for group 6, 1 hour for group 7. Each of them having only 1 hour class on that Friday. The faculty didn't allow me to change. You know what they said? They said, you must have 5 days class. So just now when I said that to Miss Azu, she said, you better talk to them. Like to bring my Friday class. So if I can bring it, then it will be good.
Yeah, we can go trimmer on Friday.
Yeah. But I will see how maybe I will not move the lecture practical but still okay because our lecture is just classroom, right? So it's still okay. If can move straight 2 hours, it will be only Thursday, right? There's no other place, right? Then maybe 1 hour.
1 hour separate.
Okay, we will discuss our tutorial 1. You are seeing me tomorrow 1:30, right?
London.
Ah, yes, yes,
It's more
yes.
than 1:30, right?
Yes.
So you will still be in the campus? Or we can make it online?
Yeah, I think we can make it online.
Because it's documentation checking, right?
Yes, I'm gonna complete both chapter 1 and chapter 2, like I said to you
Who else
yesterday.
under me?
Give it to you.
1, 2.
Can we wait after him? How long?
After him.
I don't think I'll take that long.
Because we
but-
just want to update the chapters. So online, Emma? Online. You have progress to check with me next week. Have you started? Actually, your chapter 1 until chapter 3 should be last semester work. Okay? This semester work is actually your design. Okay. So actually your design is not even something complicated until you need to wait for SDA. Because you already know class diagram, activity diagram, sequence diagram, EL diagram, done. Got it? So it's not something complicated. Okay, because your chapter 3, in case if you are planning to do questionnaire, you need to find people, you need to prepare the question, I need to review the question, you need to find people, you need to do the analysis all. And do we have time? Okay. That is the thing I wanted to say. Do you understand? So the other part is okay, but when it comes to this, if you are dealing with questionnaire, you are dealing with any interview, so those work. Correct? Not only for them, everybody. How is other supervisors? They are very good ones, is it? Except me. Because I did not disturb these people all. And only now they are updating their work. How is other supervisors? You all submitted chapter 1 until chapter 3. Haven't yet. And your supervisor didn't say anything. Who is your supervisor?
Miss Bawani.
Okay, good. Then who else? Only Bawani? All of you under Bawani. Lim Fung Ji. Ah. This Azul. Okay, you were the one sharing the template. She was the one.
Ah, yes, I got it from
The template. The chapter 1 template. Because the one I was using kind of a bit different. So we actually modified back already. That is Miss Azul.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
At least she gave me a direction to start working.
Yeah, I was surprised why the committee did not share the template. Suppose they should share the template with the subtopic, what are the title all, it suppose should be there. Who is the committee? The one creating the Google Classroom, inviting you all?
Yeah, actually, I think Miss Bawani got share, but every lecturer requirement is different.
No, the one she share is actually like empty. That is the thing. Like empty. It's empty, right? Totally empty.
Only the only
Can you-
chapter, no
Press
subheading.
the power button. It's like no sub. That is the thing was like, because you can already have the idea, the power button. The power. No, this one. Not the power. This one, it's not a loud button. I don't know the shape. Can you see the power? Okay. Can you stand here and see the power button? But it's not a circle button. What shape is that? Like a rectangle shape.
里面有个 Excel file。
Please, I don't want again another.
I think Miss
the flow chart button.
Bawani only share this one.
几时去？之前它有一个空的 template，
This suppose should be on the template.
需
There?
separate
This table. Where this table come from?
the
She gave only for her
Inside the
students,
form.
is it?
Inside
In the file.
Inside the drive.
That is actually the template title supposed should be there. But now the template is empty.
should separate it.
And it's not helpful at all. Separating it is not helpful at all because students like blur. They don't know where to start. Excuse me, what's wrong? 哎呦
这个下面
，really, really.
它有个 form，那个你看到吗？不是
Sorry, are you all okay to look down?
上面一个，
Bring it
上
down.
这上
可以啦，没有可以前面，
这个
不是你整个
哦，previous 出来，
嗯，
它去上面这个，
真不要去，
We have a helper.
里面是这
It's
样，
nice to sit and commenting, huh?
里面有上面
It's a menu bar.
哦，
The true software engineer.
不懂，
Click on the.
I didn't go in there already.
耶，很大
那个
哦，
Okay.
比圣洁大。
Okay. Okay. So tutorial 1 is about the chapter 1 which we have discussed. So we will go through all the question and it's a very simple question. Okay, so question 1, recall the principle of software testing. Don't expect this type of question on midterm or final exam to recall back everything, never. Okay, so recall the principle. So how many principles we have discussed yesterday?
7
7 principles. Okay, let's go through it one by one. That 7 is not a flow to follow, as long you know the 7. Okay, number 1,
defect clustering，
defect clustering. Okay, what is the meaning of defect clustering?
看不清，wait，
How you will recall it back?
there is one detect found
That is reading back.
or reading back，
Errors often appear in modules that are close to each other. So nearby these modules there will be more errors to be found.
Okay, so when it comes to cluster, just recall back the COVID cases. So it means when one person has been infected, the surrounding people can be infected and it will be a group of people. So here when we said defect clustering, when a module is having a defect, there is possibilities the surrounding functionalities of the module will have defects too. So it will be a group of defects. So normally when we do testing, don't stop after you identify one defect. There is possibilities to be more. Okay? Second principle. Okay, testing. What is the statement? Sorry.
Shows the presence.
Testing shows the presence of defect, not the absence. Okay, so our aim to conduct testing is to identify the defect. We want to identify the defect so that we can fix it before we will deliver out the product. So here we are not trying to prove our software is perfect. Our software is bug free. No. So we are doing the testing to identify the presence of defect. Okay? The third one. Okay, testing is context dependent. So different system, different domain of system, different platform of system has their own unique requirement, own specification. So we must test them according to that context. E-commerce system and online banking system cannot be tested in the same way. We cannot use same testing environment, we cannot use same test data, we cannot use same test cases. So everything need to be planned, need to be executed according to their own unique requirements. So context dependent here means how is the context? We need to test according to that. There is no general testing to be applicable for all. Even if it's the same system on different platform, it means Maybank to you web application, Maybank to you mobile application, still cannot be tested in the same way. Got it? So that is meaning of context dependent. The fourth one.
No failures mean the system is useful.
Okay, no failure means the system is useful, is a false. That statement is a correct statement, it's a true statement. but it is a false statement until the client confirms that. So we as a software engineer, we as a software development team, we cannot confirm that the system is useful just because we did not identify any defect, just because there is no failure happen, everything works accordingly. But if the client feels that the system did not meet their requirement, did not satisfy their needs, it is still not useful. Got it? Okay. The fifth one.
Pesticide paradox.
Pesticide paradox. Okay. So this one, just remember the mosquito spray. Okay. So the more you are spraying doesn't bring any effectiveness. Okay. So the same thing, just retesting, re-executing the same test case again and again will not give us a new result. If you already get is a failed test case, no matter how many times you repeat it, it will be still failed. And the same thing goes, no matter how many times you repeat, if it's already a past test case, it will be still pass. So we need to do modification on the test data, on the test case tabs to see for different results. So modification need to be done, not keep on repeating the same thing again and again. It's not going to be effective at all. Got it? Okay. The sixth one. Exhaustive testing is impossible. Okay, so this is all about combination of input. Remember our assignment, we are talking of complete functions. It means the function which need input. So it means we as a user, we are going to provide the input. So when we are providing the input, there is varieties of combination can happen. So when we want to conduct the testing, we cannot guarantee we can cover all these combinations on the universe. We don't have time for that. Okay, so this can cause exhaustive testing. It means we cannot finish it. So we have to make sure we use the right design technique to choose the right range of data which we can use for our testing purpose. So like what I was showing yesterday, we have 3 different range of valid data, invalid data. So we cannot cover all those data just to prove that it is working or it is not working. So we need to choose one data representative from the right range so we can cover the test. Okay, then the last one. Okay, testing activity should be start as early as possible. I was actually thinking of this principle to include in your final exam, but I still did not get the scenario yet. I'm still doing some finding. Okay, I'm still on the exam paper. Suppose should submitted yesterday. I did not because a lot of we will work out together on it. So a lot of work coming. You know, appeal cases having like this.
Yeah, and answer also.
You know, appeal. Any one of you appeal for last semester final exam? You appeal.
No.
What was?
No.
Mobile app.
I was receiving like this bundle, you know. That's why I was in the office just now, checking one by one. So I cannot do my work. So my mind is still not yet there. But I don't know why this testing as early as possible, right? This thing keep on coming. But I just don't know how to start it. Okay, let's see how the question will come up. Okay, so as what we know, software testing is not one-time activity. Okay, because we have different things to be tested. Okay, not only the developed system end of the day. Okay, so when we say to start testing as early as possible, it means throughout the software development life cycle, we can already start the testing as early. It means we can already start with the static testing to test on the documentation before we will do the development, before we will test the developed system. Because developing system is already a complex. And imagine if we have completed everything. Now the system is full of complexity. So when we do testing and we identify defect, we always spend more time, more cost to do the testing and also debugging. But if this thing can be identified in SRS, we will not use that much of cost. We might not even spend a lot of time. So that's why it is important to start the testing as early as possible. Got it? Okay. Done with all the 7 principles? Clear? The principle, try to remember the statement, because principle means something we cannot change. The elaboration, your own word, it's okay. But when, let's assume if the question asks you to give the principle, it means you must try to follow the proper statement of the principle. Okay? Okay, question 2. Software testing is unavoidable when developing the software. Some say software testing is an umbrella activity. Analyze the reason behind. How umbrella look like? What it can do? So when we say software testing is an umbrella activity, what's that mean?
Prevent from getting wet.
Prevent from
Getting wet.
getting wet. So
Or
here,
from the
how the software testing is preventing now? And they say is unavoidable. Agree with that? Software testing is an unavoidable activity. Agree? After our chapter 1, do you really agree that software testing, something cannot be avoided, must be done? How frequent, how big, how will be the testing type? Next story. But when we say software testing, something we cannot skip out. Okay, that's why it is unavoidable. Okay, when we say umbrella activity, it's actually mean it's not covering on one. It means throughout the software development life cycle. If you see this question 2 and 3, we can relate it. Okay, question 3, it's saying about that throughout the software development life cycle. Okay, so it means we don't wait for the testing phase to be happening in one testing phase. You know, it means we can already started it during the planning, we can do during the requirement analysis, we can do during the design, during the development, and then we come to the testing side. Okay, so that is what it means throughout the software development life cycle. So when we say it's an umbrella activity, it's covering the entire software development life cycle. So the software testing is actually act as an umbrella to cover all other activities happening throughout the software development life cycle. So it means when during the requirement stage, we produce the SRS, we will review the SRS. So it's part of the testing. When we design the system, design documentation, we will review the documentation. It is part of the testing. When we do the development of the coding, while we do the development, we do the unit testing to test the code. Then after we have a complete system, we test again. So if you see, it's act as an umbrella activity to cover all other software development life cycle phases. So due to that, we cannot avoid software testing. It's just that the level of testing is different. The item which we are testing is different. The people who is involved in the testing is different. Got it? So that is the reason why some say this software testing as an umbrella activity, because it is actually trying to cover the entire software development life cycle. Is it after we deliver out, there is no more testing after that? We deliver out the product to the client. Client started to use. No more testing after that? No, done.
Still got allowed.
Still.
What happened during the operation time? We need to do maintenance, am I right? Do you think what you give is working perfectly all the time? There will be some issue come up. Normally we will be involving with the maintenance. We have 3 different maintenance. What is that? Corrective maintenance, adaptive maintenance, perfective maintenance. So your client will be keep on disturbing you for any of these all the time. If something is wrong, they need to do corrective maintenance. You need to go and check the code, and then you need to modify it, you need to test them. Then we have adaptive. Whenever they want to adapt to a new environment, they want to adapt to a new operating system, they need to ask you to do development. All these come up again. Then if they want to make the system much more perfect, they come up with the new functionalities. So testing something can never ever end. So if you plan to become a software tester, you will always have job. Got it? Okay. Your job is guaranteed. Okay, so that is what mean by the umbrella activity. So this is the reason. Because the testing is covering the entire stages of the software development life cycle. Correct? Don't you guys need to write the answer? It's always in the mind, is it? Huh? You don't need to write the answer because I'm seeing 1 holding, 2 holding the pen, 3 holding the pen, 1 is busy typing and I don't know what is that. So don't you need to be putting down whatever we are discussing?
Yeah.
You will go back and then compose your answer again, is it? I try to believe that. Okay, question 3. Early testing is one of the principle of software testing. Please add the word software testing. Throughout the software development life cycle, identify what artifacts will be tested after the analysis, design, coding, and implementation stage. So like what we have discussed just now, testing is not one-time activity. Throughout the phases in the software development life cycle, we will do the testing. It's either we do static testing or dynamic testing. Clear about these two? What is static testing? What is dynamic testing? Forgot already. I just said yesterday, right? Static testing happened before the development of the system. It means we don't have the system yet. We don't have the source code yet. What we have? Documentation. So all the inspection, all the review on those documentation, we call it as static testing. Then dynamic testing is after the development. So it means we already have a source code. We already have a running system. So dynamic is more on how the system behaves now. So we execute the system to see how it's going to produce the output. Okay. So now every stages here there is artifacts. We will be producing artifacts. You know what is artifacts? What is artifacts? The milestone which we achieve end of that phase. So most of it will be documentation and it can be source code and so on. Okay. So in each of these stages we will conduct the testing and what artifacts we will be tested. So during the requirement analysis stage, what artifact we will be producing? SRS. So now we need to test. So test here means we are not running the SRS to test, but we are reviewing the SRS. So what we want to test on this SRS? What we want to make sure on that SRS? What is SRS? What is SRS? How thick was your SRS during your SRE course? Very thick? Very thick, right? Because you need to have all your functional requirement, non-functional requirement, all the use case, and someone was confused where the use case supposed should be today. Is it requirement or design? Use case is under requirement. So it means we need to put the use case description and so on. Okay. So now when we say that we are reviewing this SRS, what we want to make sure?
Measure the requirement, measure the system going on, matching the requirement.
but we don't have the system yet during requirement stage.
I mean, produce in the right way.
So it means we need to make sure the requirement which we have documented is correct based on what the client said. Not checking with the system yet. There is no system yet. So here we want to make sure the system, the requirement is correct based on what the client said. It must be consistent, because when, let's assume you do interview, there might be different people on the same position. So the way this person say the requirement, the way this person say the requirement, they must be consistent. There must not be any conflict happen. And how is the completeness of these SRs? Did we include all the requirement? Is there any missing requirement happen? So this is what we need to review on the SRS during the requirement stage. Got it? So now, based on this requirement, based on this SRS, we move to the design. On the design stage, what we do? What we are doing on the design stage? We are converting the requirement into design. Am I right? It means based on what architecture you want to use, and then whatever strategy you want to use, like object oriented, and then all those diagrams presenting what the requirements say. Got it? So we are going to detail out module by module all the functionalities, the data, and so on. So we have our SDD. Has Mr. Lim already issued the assignment? SDD, right? You are producing SDD, software design description, software design document, SDD. Correct? Huh? So what we need to test here? What we are going to test on this SDD? How we are checking our design now? The design must be correct based on the requirement. So now we have two documentation which we need to check. So it means whatever the design you have done, is it showing your requirement or not? Is it suitable to what you have proposed to do or not? So now this must be correct to this, and it must be consistent. So we need to make sure that the design document is correctly done. So now with the design document, we move to the coding stage. So what we do in coding stage? We start to write the code. So now whatever you have mentioned on the design, you are making it to function. Got it? So it means you create all these classes, and then all these objects, and then all those data need to be communicating with the code. So you do the coding. So now what artifact we have here during the coding stage? The source code. Okay, the source code. Because have we completed as a system? No. We are doing the coding, so we have the source code. So now source code means we are not testing like how we test documentation, because we cannot just look and review on source code. So now we can start to do the dynamic testing. So it means we can run the source code to see each of these units, they are working or not. Got it? Then with all those source code, we can have the complete system. So we will go to the implementation stage. So it means the complete system need to be implemented at the client environment. So now what we are going to test? What is the artifact here? Is it still source code? The system itself, the completed system, the integrated system is there now. So now we need to make sure if all the integrated modules are functioning as a system or not. If the system able to communicate in the client environment or not. Can it work with other software which has been integrated or not? So we need to check all this. Got it? So every stages they will be tested. That's why we cannot avoid it at all. Got it? Clear? Okay, the next question, why is testing important? We already said that it's unavoidable. Every stages need to be done with the testing. Every artifacts we need to test. So why testing is important?
Ensure quality.
Sorry?
Measure the quality.
Okay, so we want to ensure the quality of the software. So the more we are actually testing them, it can improve the quality of the software. When we do the development, we might not realize something. Then when we test, we identify some defect. Then we do improvement. We do the fixing, we do the debugging. So the more we are testing, we are identifying defect, and the more we are doing debugging, it can improve the quality of the end product later. Okay, so the first reason is to ensure the quality of the software. Okay, second reason why it is important.
Meets the requirement of client.
Sorry?
Meets the client requirement.
Okay, we want to test to make sure the client's requirement has been fulfilled. All what they have mentioned, did we implemented it? We need to test. Then only we can confirm it. Is all the implemented coding, functionality, doing what it supposed should be? Then we need to test it. Then only we know if those requirement has been fulfilled or not. So when we set requirement to fulfill, this is all about the requirement, the customer needs, and then if the system is fit to do the purpose or the functions, all this is similar thing. They are all together. Okay, as long it do what the client say, exactly what they want, and its function fitly without any issue. This is all about the client side. Okay, so other than that, why testing is important? Sorry? Yes, the main important reason is we want to identify the defect so that we can fix it. And we don't want the client to identify the defect later. Because if the client or if the user detects the defect, it means we didn't do our work. So that's why our aim, the main aim for why we need to do the testing is we want to identify the defect so that we can fix it. So that when we deliver out to the client will not see this defect. Okay? So just remember that before the delivery of the product, no matter how many defects you identify, it's good because you are doing your job well. But once you deliver out, the client identify the defect, it will be complete. It's two different situations. It means we didn't do our job as a software tester. That's why they identify. So we have to make sure that we identify so that we can fix it. Okay? So this will be all the importance of software testing. Okay, the next question. Different systems cannot have the same way of testing. Do you agree? Justify your points.
Yes.
Agree? So let's assume if there is a question asked you, do you agree? Please answer that first. Yes or no. It will carry mark with the justification. Okay? So in this situation, it's actually referring to one of the principles. Correct? Different system cannot have the same way of testing is presenting which principle? Testing is context dependent. So when the question asks you to justify, you can use back the principle to support it. So it means your answer suppose should be yes. Different systems cannot have the same way of testing. So as what one of the testing principles say, testing is context dependent. Every system has its own unique context. Okay, so we must test according to the uniqueness of these features and the requirement. Okay, so we cannot use same testing environment, same test data, and same test cases. So whenever the question asks you to justify, you can use your own way how to justify. Okay, but before that, please answer yes or no first. When the question asks you, do you agree? Yes or no first. Okay? Kenna, am I too fast? Okay, the next question. Explain the relationship between error, defect, and failure. So yesterday we have discussed these three terms, am I right? Software errors, defects or software fault, and then software failure. So there was a conclusion of a relationship about these three. What was the statement said? Is it all? Okay. Okay. So let's see back what is this term about. So error is more to the human error. So when humans do their task, they did a mistake. Okay, so this is what we call as an error, where the mistake done on the system or on the code, on the design. Okay, so this error might turn into a software defect, or another name is software fault. So now the defect is inside the program or inside the system. So what happened? It might disturb the functionalities. It might disturb the performance, for example. So it can be disturb the functional side or the non-functional side. But it might turn as a defect, and it might not also. Because not every mistake has the high risk for it to turn as a defect. Okay, then the same thing, failure. When there is a failure in the system, it might not able to fulfill the client requirements. It might not fit to do the functionality accordingly. So this will become a failure. So the same thing goes, not all the software defect might turn as a failure, but the possibilities, yes. Okay, so the relationship here, not all the software errors turn as a software defect, and not all the software defect turn as a software failure. But if we don't do the testing, can we know which one will turn, which one will not turn? We cannot guarantee, because some might not turn, but there is possibility some might turn. So that's why we cannot avoid testing. We must conduct testing for us to guarantee that the one which will turn, we identified earlier, so that it will not become a big failure later. Correct? Are you okay? Still okay? Okay. The next question. Why some defects in the software will not turn into failure? Explain with one example. Okay, why some defect? It means human made an error already. Now it is a defect. But some defect will not turn into a failure. It means the defect is there. The defect is in the system, in that software. But it did not disturb the functional requirement or the non-functional requirement. It means it is not stopping the system to do the function. It did not disturb the performance of the system, or maybe it's still able to fulfill the client's requirement. That's what it means, not turn as a failure. So now with one example, let's discuss why it will not turn. What can be the example of defect which might not turn as a failure, and why? What is defect? When we said human made error, right? During the coding or during the design, anything. So it will be always the same type of error? No, because there might be high risk of errors, low risk of errors. So some will turn as a defect, some will not turn as a defect. But sometimes when it's turned as a defect, what we can see as a defect, but it did not disturb the system. Okay, in that case, when we have UI defect, user interface defect, for example, okay, the graphic issues, graphic might not display out, maybe graphic aligning problem, or maybe even spelling mistake, it is still defect. But will it stop the system from functioning? You know that, oh, it's a defect, but the system is still working fine. So some UI defect which did not disturb the functionality, did not disturb the performance of the system, it means it did not turn as a failure. So like just now, like the typo, alignment problem, colors, font sizing, image is not displaying out, this kind of defect, it's still defect. We still need to fix it. But it did not disturb. Until maybe someone say that, oh, this system is so bad, too many UI defect. It's so ugly to see. Okay? But some UI defect can disturb the functionality too. Can disturb the performance too. So let's assume just now we said the graphic did not display out. The graphic has a hyperlink. And if it's not displayed out, it means that image is not clickable anymore. If I did not able to click, it means I might not able to navigate to another page. For example, like registration hyperlink, and we have a broken hyperlink. So that registration link cannot be clicked. So it means what happened? We lose customer because they cannot access to the registration form and they could not able to submit the registration. So that is high risk. It means it is still UI defect, but it is becoming a failure because it is disturbing the functional requirement. Got it? Other than that, do we have any other defect which will not turn as a failure other than UI? Any defect in the documentation, is it still be counted? Is it not turned as a failure? Like for example, we produce user manual, the system user manual, and there is defect in that. Can it be a failure? I think when it comes to documentation, it will not become a failure because the system is still functioning. The user manual is having a mistake unless we are really depending on the user manual and we are not using the system. So documentation defect, UI defect which did not disturb the functional and the performance of the application can be example for this. Got it? So other than that, whatever disturbing the system, whatever stopping the functionality, whatever did not able to produce the output, all this failure. It means the defect turned as a failure. Okay? Got it? Okay. So the last question, when performing testing, some tests have a higher priority than others. What are the criteria to be considered in prioritizing the test? So, when we want to perform tests, we need to know which one to start first, which one to do next. So, what can be the criteria which we need to consider for us to checking on this prioritization. Which one need to be start first? Which one we can do later? What are the criteria? How we do this grouping?
Based on how commonly used a certain function is and what are common groups.
Does that mean we are referring to the main function? Are you referring to the main function?
Yes.
So it means we start with the main function,
Yes.
then followed by the sub. Okay? So we can group them based on the level of the functionalities. So here we start with the main function, okay? Then we follow by with the sub functions. Okay, so we test to make sure that the main one is working first. Then we proceed with the sub. Okay, other than that,
We start with the client primary.
based on client requirement. Okay, so based on the client requirement, what client want to be tested first? It means maybe this one they want to see.
Majority.
Yes, so it means we follow the requirement from the client. So our criteria here is based on our client request. Okay, maybe they want some functions to be delivered first. So this one we give importance to do first. Let them see what is the output first. Then we proceed with the following one. Okay, can we do the checking based on the risk? Like the one having high risk, it means the possibilities, the defects will be there. We start first because we might identify defects and we might need time to do the fixing compared to the low risk one, which is later. We still have time for it later. So we can prioritize based on the risk level. So we start with the high risk functionalities, then followed by the low risk. It means whatever involved with calculations, other third party side, all this data, we do first. We check first. Then we do the simple one. Okay? How about dependency? Do we check dependency? There is always a precondition for a function. Correct? If I don't do this, I cannot test this. It means if I don't test this function A, I cannot proceed to test function B. For example, our intranet, our student intranet, staff intranet. Can we go inside the intranet without login? If we did not log in, we cannot proceed with anything. That is how the system works. So in that case, login function is a precondition for all other functions. And if I don't test the login, if I don't confirm the login function is working, I cannot start the testing for other functionalities. So here we group them based on the precondition, the dependency. So I must test and pass the login function, then I can proceed with others. So the same thing like all this e-commerce, right? When you don't add any product into the cart, you cannot proceed with the checkout. You cannot proceed with the payment. You cannot proceed with the delivery things. So it means there is a precondition you must pass first. So here the dependency function. Which one is depend on which one? So which one we must test first and we make sure it's passed, then we follow with other functionalities. Okay? Got it? Clear? So when you are preparing your test case later, because you are working as one team, okay, you have individual modules, but your functionalities might be depend on another person's functionality. So when we are preparing the test case later, we need to indicate as a precondition. Okay? We'll see. Okay. That's it for our tutorial one. Any question? All okay? Am I too fast? Did you able to get the answers? For those who is taking the answers?
Can I ask about question 3?
Question 3, okay.
So because I wrote my answer like analysis, that will be one artifact, design will be one artifact, coding one artifact, implementation one artifact. So for
No, sorry, what do you say?
I write my answer based on the different artifacts from the analysis, design, coding, and implementation. So
Okay.
analysis, SRS, I got the answer here to make sure requirements are correct.
Mm.
But the design, the software design of the
Documentation,
SDD,
yes.
I did not get what I am testing for in this document.
Okay, when we have done the design, we need to make sure the design is correct based on the requirement. Okay, and the design is suitable with what you want to develop. It means for example, like the architecture you want to use, the strategy which you want to use. So it must be suitable. So we want to check that also. Other than that, we want to make sure our SDD and our SRS, they are consistent. Okay? Source code?
Source code, the one I read up is dynamic testing and try to see if it works or not.
Yeah, because we don't want to say during the coding that only we want to test if it's doing what the requirement say. Because it is considered too late. Because we already confirmed here. So here we want to make sure the function is working. Okay? Then this is the entire system. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
The entire system, what should I test for the entire system?
Entire system means we are still doing the dynamic testing, but here is more to unit test. You know, level, right? We start with the unit testing, right? The small one, every individual unit. So here, when we said at the implementation, we have integrated as a complete system. All the module, all the functionalities must work together. So here, our dynamic testing will be more onto the functional and also the non-functional. So it means, can the system work according to what the client wants? Can the system work on the implemented environment with the integrated system? So we are checking more onto that. Because when we said we want to test functionality only, it is not suitable. You get? Here we test the functionality one by one. Here we test the functionality as an integrated system. So together with that, we have other black box testing we need to do also. Correct? Clear?
Can I say something like check if it's consistent with the design that we draw and the design thing together?
You want to check the consistency here.
Yeah.
Is it not too late?
Double check.
How do I make sure that
It means when we do the testing here, right? How we can confirm on this and this is actually when we do our integration system, integration testing, it means it must be working accordingly to the architecture what we say, what we use. And when we said we want to make sure our requirement is all fulfilled, user will do the test. User will do the user acceptance testing to confirm their side. So that's why we are not going to be confirming again. We have done it here, we have done it here, we have done it here. So now this is too late for us to say that, okay, let's check with the SRS. Because our test case is already based on the SRS. So we directly conduct the functionality testing by executing the test case. So that is like indirectly we are checking if the functionality is fulfilling the requirement or not. Other than that, the user also will be part of this. Okay? Okay, any more questions? Everyone okay? Yeah.
How about if I say the analysis, the coding part I say like for white box and implementation stage for black box? Okay.
Yeah, can. So it means when we say coding, it means it can be, normally it will be more to the development team. So when the development team do testing, they will do white box testing. Because they are running the code, they are analyzing the code to see the output. But when it comes to the testing team, they don't send it unit by unit. They send it as an integrated. So it is too late to say white box testing at that time. So that's why we move to black box testing. Okay? Clear? Okay. Any questions before we end the session? Is everyone okay? Tutorial 1? Okay. So, that's it. So tomorrow, I will send the link tomorrow to. You message me already, right?
Coba.